All right, I have to do this, don't I? I have to do this. Good morning. Hello. How are you? Hang on a second. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to my little domain. I'm going to have a sip of coffee, whatever you're having. Cheers. So, in amongst all the things that are happening to all of us all the time, I had a really fun outreach the other day from a woman named Amy who said, So I have this group and I think you should join us. And I said, Oh, really? Why? And she said, Well, there's 124,000 of us. And I said, Safety in numbers. And so I checked out her group, and they're fun and fabulous. It's a memory lane event. Good morning, Freddie. How wonderful to see you. And it's a memory lane kind of group, and called the 70s and 80s. And it's really fun, sort of saying hello, and all of them saying, "Oh my gosh, hi Mom, how you doing?" So I wanted to reference them this morning because I invited them, if they are alive and well and have some free time, to check out what these videos look like, because most of them who remember, well, obviously they're part of a group that remembers the 70s and 80s. Most of them who remember You Can't Do It on Television have a very clear memory of that part of me and absolutely no idea about the truth about this whole Viking thing that's going on inside and underneath and behind the scenes of Mom and the Care Bears and all that. And I said, you should come and see the videos. Check it out. So my good morning, my welcome to you if you have joined me, and for all the rest of you who keep coming back, bless you. It's so great to have you here. It means everything, really, because without you, it's a rehearsal. So I do these videos for a couple of reasons. One is because I love doing them. Another is because I thought it was time for people to have an opportunity to reconnect with me, with their memories of the work that I did. More importantly, though, reconnect with their memories of how they felt at a fairly important moment in their time. And so why not, let's do that together. Let's walk down memory lane together, and let's look at all the stuff that we learned that we don't even know we learned, and figure out how to use all that stuff moving forward. Because if we learn stuff, we might as well put it to use. No? Anyway, the project that is underneath this, that is driving this whole bus, is something that I call Pivotry in Motion. And the reason I started it, for those of you who have already heard all this, I'm sorry to be repetitive, but here we are. Good morning, Kelly. I look amazing. Well, thank you, Kelly. You do too. Every single person I have ever watched in action, presenting themselves as a teacher, a coach, a mentor, a guide, whose purpose it is to lead us from where we are to where we want to be. Good morning, Charles. Good morning. It's good to see you. How's Kat? Every single person I've watched in action, all of these books that I see, that I kind of scope out and get a sense of what their thread is, where they're saying, hang on to this and I'll take you this way. I've noticed one common thing. And the common thing is they jump right in. They're excited, as they should be. Well, good morning, Susan. I have a client. Have a wonderful. I will, honey. You too. Go get them. Heal those people before they see it coming. All these people who want to guide us, all these people who are invested in their concept, who have a great passion to help, are all these people are forgetting something. And the one thing they're forgetting is how far down their path they are, how far they've come from that first moment of shock and awe, and the decision to see if they could figure out a way to make the pain stop, a way to get themselves excited again about getting up after the fall and carrying on. It's a normal thing. We all do it. Once we know how to drive a car, we forget how interesting those first few days were behind the wheel, how fascinating that was, how terrifying it was, especially if you go back in time to my years. I learned to drive on a standard transmission car, which meant that I basically hopped like a bunny rabbit down the road because I kept stalling because I hadn't quite figured out brake, clutch, fuel. Today, brake, clutch, fuel, lipstick, phone, conversation, radio, sandwich, really, bagatelle. So because we forget the pain of the learning curve, we forget that other people are just entering that curve and they have no idea. All they know is you said something to them that made them say, what if? And they are ready to make the leap and follow you. And almost immediately after the first rush of enthusiasm, it comes unstuck. And the reason it comes unstuck, it comes unraveled, they lose their momentum, they lose their initial excitement, is because they don't have the instructions. They don't have the understanding that it all begins in here. It all begins with, I've been looking at life like this through these filters the whole time, as long as I can remember. For me to change, this has to change. It has to go from here to here. It has to go from here to here, or from here to here. Wherever it has to go, the point is, it has to leave the comfort zone of the thinking and doing and feeling patterns that we use, we develop, we practice, because patterns keep us safe. Everyone forgets that. I've never met a mentor, motivator, coach, or guide who has said, okay, first thing, not that. I've never met one. And I'm a military kid. I grew up in, oh my gosh, sorry, Charles, it's your anniversary. Happy anniversary. How wonderful. Big hugs to both of you. So the reason I started doing these videos is because I've begun to develop this project that does exactly the thing that no one else does. My concept is basically a where to start before you start. It's, I was talking to Billy yesterday. He said, you know what your project is? You know who you are in this project? And I said, tell me. He said, you're the introduction to the opposites. Now, I'm really sorry. That's an in joke. That's an in remark. You have to have watched You Get It on television to understand what on earth I just said. And I will very briefly recap for you if you've never seen the show. By the way, it's on YouTube. You go to YouTube, you type You Can't Do That on Television, and there all the episodes are. And if you want to see me, you type You Can't Do It on Television, Mom, and there they are. So first of all, the idea of You Can't Do It on Television was a complete opposite to the norm. You Can't Do That on Television, the entire purpose of the show was to give our audience, which was basically the preteen age, say, I don't know, 8 or 9 up until maybe 14 or 15, to give them a show that was their view of the world, skewed in their favor. The adults are still in charge, but they have no idea what they're doing. And really, it's the kids who are running things behind the scenes. was basically the premise of the show, right? It was the kids' show. And they endured the daily ordeal of dealing with the floor director, studio director Ross, who kept trying to pull fast ones on them. And then in every other sequence in the show, you saw them dealing with the teacher, you saw them dealing with their parents, you saw them dealing with their friends, you saw them dealing, handling the terror food at the local diner. You saw them in the school bus with snake eyes. You you saw these kids in situations that were controlled by adults who had no idea what they were doing. And the great injustice, of course, was that really it should have been the kids in charge. And the concept was so revolutionary that when our producer, Roger Price, presented it to the head of the network said, "Well, you can't do a thing like that on television." And Roger said, "Yes, I can, and I'm going to, and that's what I'm going to call it." Hence the name. So one of the fun things in the show, there was always an area called the link set where the kids introduced things that were going to come along, things that were going to happen. And one of the fun things that they used to introduce was a section in the show called The Opposites. And the setup always was, "My, you look handsome today. Why are you saying such nice things to me? You must like me." Or it's just the introduction to the opposites. And then we would see everything upside down. Mom telling a daughter that she doesn't have enough makeup on to go to the mall, that she can't, that the boys shouldn't be doing their homework. They should be running around the living room breaking things. And the kids loved it because it was their ultimate age satire. They loved it. So when Billy was saying basically Pivotry in Motion is your introduction to the opposites, you are showing people the other place they truly live and all the things that they're capable of doing. Juvenile discretion is advised. Oh, Patrick. Oh, don't forget El Capitano. Yes, of course. So all of the adults, the librarian, I played a librarian who couldn't stand children and didn't understand why there were so many in the library all the time. She was a school librarian. So the idea that kids at the age of 10, a lot of kids home early from school, latchkey kids, a lot of kids early Saturday morning, really wanting to have 30 minutes watching a view of the world from their perspective, loving the show, the adults insulted by all the references to dumb adulthood, offended by the show. They were excited to know that there was another way to see their lives. They were excited to watch a series full of kids just like them who had a totally different opportunity. And it's not that it created jealousy or resentment. In fact, it was the opposite. It gave our viewers, our audience, an opportunity to say, okay, so if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. And I have said, sometimes I'm joking, that the way our kids look and feel and see the world today, it's all our fault, really. And I'm equal parts sorry and glad. So the concept that I've created, Pivotry in Motion, I've done it for a couple of reasons. One is that as a military brat, which by the way, if you're not in a military family or you don't know anybody who's military, it's a transient life. It's a gypsy life. You're moved frequently. You attend many you attend many schools. You say goodbye to friends, and you have to make new ones. And one of the things that is a problem that causes pain today that I'm going to talk about today is the fact that we grew up on a diet of uncertainty. My entire life, the foundation on which I stand is predicated on uncertainty. Not that I'm standing on quicksand or an earthquake zone. I'm standing on uncertainty because at any moment, my enlisted parent could come home and say, "We're leaving next week." What that created in me, two things. One was a sense of urgency, a sense of let's cut to the chase. We don't have time to dawdle, which is sometimes good and sometimes not good because we don't give things time to grow and mature and deserve our trust. We just jump right in. It's okay if we're doing it with other military kids who understand where we're coming from. It's not okay when we're dealing with civilians who expect to have to pay their dues. And so when they meet people like us, sorry, I just got a hair kind of in my. When they meet people like us, the assumption is that we have no boundaries, that we have no standards, that we are desperate. And that's not true at all. We're just in a hurry. We're just, TikTok. And it is, the onus is on us to clarify. If we have spent most of our lives surrounded by people like us, we don't realize that it is our job to clarify. And so you get all kinds of mixed signals. And I have, 11 gazillion stories and funny moments predicated on that. The other thing that is really important that I hadn't realized that I did finally see during COVID is that if you're not a kid like me growing up, lengthy uncertainty paralyzes people. They don't know what it is. They don't know what to do. They don't know when it's going to stop. And so they go into freeze mode, freeze to survive, stand still so the lion doesn't see us. Don't look the lion in the eye. Just stand still, just freeze. And then we freeze for as long as it takes. And if we freeze too long, we forget that we knew how to move. We knew how to own and shift and change and grow. We forget because we got locked into something that held us hostage, that kept us safe, but became a cage. So you can imagine, from my point of view, in the middle of COVID, seeing people regressing to the age of toddler, screaming, fully grown adults screaming at an innocent store clerk, "You're not the boss of me." Me standing there thinking, going home to try and walk that back and figure out where that came from, and realizing that it's uncertainty. Realizing that in the freeze moment, that person has no idea how to get out of freeze or any desire to get out of freeze because they don't have the next tool. And so back to all these mentors, similarities between the librarian and the Teddy Ruxpin. Yes, yeah, I know, right? I know. Freddie has just noticed that the librarian and Eleanor Tweeg and Teddy Ruxpin had the same voice. The opportunity for me to basically train everybody who didn't see you can't do that on TV, train you to fall in love with the idea of the opposites, to give you a kind of mischievous what if that lifts you out of freeze and makes you curious, so that I can show you how we do it, how we've always done it, how we've always done it. It's just that we've always done it long before we knew we were doing it. So we never really thought about it. We just can and do shift to be the part of us that owns the moment. Not be more, not do more, not chase after this, not be the change. We are the change. We don't know something that has been a completely unconscious habit, pattern, routine, because unconscious. So I'm going to show you. So this whole project, this whole hi, and the introduction to your opposites is a really fun thing. And Billy and I giggled about that for a very long time last night. Billy Kennedy also goes by the name Day Nave. And for those of you who aren't aware, Day Nave is the admin on the You Canada on Television official page on Facebook and has been involved with all of us for a very long time. And we love him. And Billy also, when I got my computer hacked a few weeks ago, climbed on his trusty white steed and rode over like the white knight he is and helped me transform my computer to get me back on safe ground. So thank you, Billy. So the idea that this project that I have embarked on and that you are now, you didn't know when you decided to watch this video that you were in my boat. Where we are and where we are going is to the window where we can see what it looks like and how it feels to embrace our ability to shift. And I am going to show you how we do it. Unlike all of the mentors, unlike all of the other coaches and models that say, just buy my book, just follow the steps, just do this. And I'm going to tell you why you need what I do. We go to an event, we watch a video, we talk to somebody, and excitement is contagious. If they're wound up, we get wound up. If they have a book, if they have a cookie, if they have a weight loss program, if they have clothes that make them look 3 inches taller and 10 pounds thinner, we want what they got. What we don't realize when we say, yeah, you've got a copy of the book, you've got a copy of this, and where can I get the diet, and da. And then we rush home, and we don't do it. We might do it for a day, we might do it for a couple of days, we might do it for a month, and then we don't do it. We mean to do it. Well, I'm going to do it later. I got to do this right now, and then I'll get back to it. I'll get back to it. And we don't do it. And it's not because we can't. And it's not because we don't want to. It's because we haven't shifted here first. We aren't ready. We are not in the boat. We're dancing on the dock, but we're not in the boat. And until we know how to get off the dock and in the boat, until we decide that it's worth the effort, until we are so ready to choose change no matter what, it doesn't matter how good the program is. It doesn't matter how many times our loved one, our doctor, our boss has said, you need to do more of this and less of that. And we say, yeah, oh, I know. None of it matters until that shifts. And if we don't know how it shifts, then we are standing on uncertain ground. And we are standing in the scariest place on earth. And so we freeze. And we don't move. And that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is why diet books don't work. It's why people sign up for gym memberships and then don't go. It has nothing to do with the value of the product we invested in. It has everything to do with our readiness and our understanding how we get ready. We can't just hold our breath and turn blue and find ourselves ready. It's not how it works. There is a technique, and this is what I'm showing and telling. I am the introduction to your opposite life. I am the portal. And the reason I say I am the portal is I'm the one who's got the information. And what I'm doing in these videos is I'm giving you little teaser bits of what it's like to use the tools that get you shifted. So you get to practice for free. Try before you buy. See if you like it. If you get curious enough to watch the next video, all right, you might be ready soon. That's what this is all about. And all it takes from you is the time to watch on your terms. I mean, live is fun because, Freddie's here. Similarities, yeah. And Patrick here in Australia, it was a Latchkey Kid show. So we have Patrick in Australia and Freddie down in the States and somebody in Ottawa, Canada, where I am, and people in Europe and people in South America. Anywhere the show was watched, anyone with the internet, we're all together, safety in numbers. And we're all getting ready to make the leap, except that nobody received a copy of the instructions. Abby Mom has a copy of the instructions. So the subject, that's the backstory. Blah, 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 blah. That's the backstory, but now you know everything that everybody else watching also knows. Okay? The topic today is, why does it hurt and when does it stop? And we have all asked that question. And what I said in the little blurb before is, it's not the hero in us who asks those questions. It's the little one. It's the very small inner child saying, Mom, it hurts. Why? Why does it hurt? Right? It's that part of us that asks those questions. That part of us is alive and well with us forever. Hang on a sec. So I'm going to tell you something that is going to change a lot for you, I hope. Pain is a signal that our brain receives that something is different. That brain that receives those signals, that our subconscious brain, it's the one that runs everything. It's like the systems engineer, maintenance engineer. It triggers, it sends signals so that the heart keeps pumping and we blink and digest our food, and we're aware when we just sipped coffee and we had some drooling out of our lip. It is the part of our brain that runs 95% of what's going on. And in addition to the actual physical mechanisms that it maintains, it also receives, it is like the middle point, a signal from the pain threshold. Nerve endings detect something, send the signal back. The brain, that pain threshold says, ow. Subconscious brain says, ow? Okay, that's dangerous. Nothing's supposed to hurt. All the red flags go up. Action central, and that brain sends the cavalry down to investigate. It also puts everybody else in lockdown. All the other things that we do, all the excitement that we have for something, all of the intense focus we have on something, all the anticipation for something, all of the dread for something, frozen. Pain cuts through it, stops everything. All hands on deck. We're in pain while that brain investigates. And we feel the pain on many levels. It feels like it comes at us in this sort of tidal wave, because it's coming from the physical place of the pain. It's coming from the emotional place of panic and fear. If it's a wonderful surprise, if we know we're having our birthday, but a surprise is translated by that brain as danger equals pain, then the high adrenaline that we feel, the excitement, is actually that brain putting us on high alert for something that is not part of our regular pattern, and everything else goes away. In the moment that somebody says, I bought you this, in the moment that somebody says, fresh out of the oven, and we smell something that is amazing and is our favorite, all our focus goes there and we forget other things. An interesting thing happens to me, for example, if I'm wearing ridiculous shoes that pinch, and I talked about shoes that pinch on Tuesday. If I'm wearing ridiculous shoes that pinch because they're gorgeous and they go with the outfit, I can't actually feel the pain if I'm in front of a live audience doing a show. I can't feel it. Why? Because my entire focus, my entire everything is completely focused on you, completely focused on this moment, this amazing opportunity for us to connect. It's magic. Nothing else is present or priority. This moment with us together, this is all there is. So our subconscious brain has the ability to shift its focus on what hurts. When something else comes along that hurts more, that appears that seems to be, that presents itself as a bigger threat to the status quo of safety. That's what's going on all the time, 24/7, awake and asleep. And the subconscious brain doesn't understand a lot of things. It's not a sophisticated brain. It's very old and it's very good at what it does. I mean, after all, we are here. So all it knows is that the pattern keeps us safe. What we've always done, we should always do, because until now, it's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It has difficulty. What is difficulty? It cannot conceive of the idea that we have more than one tribe that we belong to now. It only knows that we have one tribe. It puts us into significant conflict, for instance, on birthdays and Father's Day and Mother's Day and Christmas and all the other celebrations, if we now have two families. My family I grew up in, and the family that I joined in some way, shape, or form. If I belong to a club, that's another family. If I go to work, that's another family. If I live in a neighborhood, that's another family. And I play a role, I have a function in each of those families. What the hell do I do when all of those families simultaneously want me in a different place? Hello, have you ever experienced Christmas morning? So when we do not have the ability to understand why we're scared, we freeze. We regress back to the last place we were safe. We retreat. We hide. Until we get another signal that where we are hiding isn't safe. And then the other two next choices are fight or flee. Hide, fight, or flee. Really, that's it. It's what's going on all the time in response to a signal that something is wrong. And when it's wrong, it's painful. That's the math. I may have failed the numbers math, but the logic math and the connection math, as a military kid figuring out life in 3, 2, 1, I got very good at this. So I want to suggest something to you. When we have someone in our lives, when we have something in our lives, when we have a place of safety in our lives, and it is part of us and we are part of it, it is the sanctuary and the pattern that makes us feel safe. We are good. We go about our days. We live and we breathe and we laugh and react and get disappointed and all those things. The pattern, the knowing, the certainty that the house I left this morning is the house I come home to tonight, that the person I love will be there the same way they were earlier, the job I have, the weather I have, the car I drive, the pet I love, the people around me who depend on me and I depend on them. As long as they remain, I am safe. That's how it works. So when we wake up one day and we discover that something has changed, something has begun to unravel, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And the pain we feel at the thought of this continuing without knowing for how long, the uncertainty of not knowing, the thought that this change that affects someone or something or somewhere that is my pattern, it's my pattern, it's mine, feels like betrayal. It feels like an attack on the deepest, most vulnerable, small child part of us without warning that we didn't deserve. And we have no tools to cope with. The pain is off the charts. There is no word for that kind of pain. There isn't. It doesn't exist. And then, gradually, the body that takes care of the breathing and the eating and the heart beating and you've got to eat, you've got to sleep, you've got to come in out of the rain, that methodical plodding forever systems engineer forces us to get up, forces us distracted, exhausted, scared, forces us to go through the steps we go through every day because that's who we are and it's how it works. And the first few steps, the first few days, weeks, hours, months are painful and scary. Oh my God, scary and confusing. And we truly suck at it. Boy, oh boy, we suck at it. In the dictionary, under the phrase sucks at it, it's our collective picture. Actively not doing it well. And we resent that. And we feel very small and very lost and very abandoned and very alone and very frightened. And it cuts like a knife. Every day. Every minute. Until it cuts with less surprise. It cuts with less sharp freshness. It becomes a thing that is now part of our pattern. It becomes a thread in the tapestry of who we are. And then, gradually, what happens is new threads come, new crises come, new sudden full stop, holy lifting, what is this? Some pump in the basement stops working, basement floods, generator doesn't work, car won't start, everything in the fridge thaws. There's a fire at the factory where we work. Fresh crisis, fresh uncertainty, fresh frantic tap dancing, fresh surprise, fresh man the lifeboats, row down it, row. And in that moment of fresh what? And there's no time to say, it's just go, go, go. We don't have room in here for pain. Not that other pain. We're focused on this pain right now, this moment. And the thing is, we have been dealing with pain and surprises and crises our entire lives. Before the person, the place, the thing we came to know and love and include in our everyday. When we panic and we revert to toddler child who's having a tantrum, we're reverting back to the last time we felt safe. Because we want to go to the last safe place there was. But before that, when we were safe, we were coping with things all the time. I always say to clients, if you have passed the age of 5, you've experienced a trauma of some kind. Even if the only trauma that you can actively remember was the death of your gerbil, it was still a trauma. It was a crashing loss, and you felt all the things I've just described. You were small, the gerbil was small, it was a small moment. It didn't feel like it at the time. All of a sudden, in the middle of a crisis, we revert to the person who copes. Without thinking, the subconscious brain goes and looks it up and says, here. Like the person who hands you a baton in a relay race. Subconscious brain, tap, tap, here. And we do it. We don't stop and say, oh, for me? Oh, how it's my favorite color. No. And we keep going. And when we have dealt with that crisis and the crest of the crisis has passed, and we're sitting there going, oh, wow, what the heck was that? Takes a while. And then we have this massive overriding wave of guilt that hits us because it occurs to us that in those moments when we were tap dancing as fast as we could, we weren't actively holding to us the pain we feel for our loss. And we feel terrible. We feel as though we have betrayed everything we said we feel. We feel that we have dishonored that person, that place, that thing, that job, that commitment, because we were able to let it go and focus on something else, that something else became more important. Okay, yeah, that's what we do. It's misguided, but it's not crazy. What we're doing when we do that is we're trying to get back to the last place we felt safe. After the crisis, we want to go to the last place we felt safe. And where we felt safe, where we have felt safe in these recent days, weeks, and months, is in the posture of grieving, is in the posture of holding to us the memories, in the posture of, I will never let you go. I will never, ever want anything as much as I wanted and needed and cherished you, whatever the you stands for. And when we realize that, in fact, we have the ability to betray that promise, we feel like crap. We feel terrible. And what's worse is we can't get back, 100% of us, we can't get back to that raw pain that we felt to the extent that we felt it. And that's terrifying because we are now standing once again on uncertain ground. My certain ground was surrounding and surrounded by that person, that place, that thing, that job. And it got shaken and upheaved and torn asunder. And I was in an uncertain place. And then something else happened, and then something else happened. And now I'm in another uncertain place because I can't figure out how to get back to where I was. The crazy thing is, what we're trying to get back to is the pain. We're trying to get back to the pain of the moment that we've been hanging on to. When that stops, when all of that stops, the pain, the fear, the loss, the uncertainty, the loneliness, the confusion, the exhaustion, that stops being those things the moment we realize we never lose that person, that place, that event, that thing, that job. We never lose it because it's part of who we are. It's part of our memory. It's part of the stories that we tell ourselves and each other. It has become a thread of us. The sparkly gold one, a sparkly orange one, a sparkly slime green one, whatever your color patch is, there it is. When you're doing something and all of a sudden a memory pops up, bing, like your phone, bing. Instead of crying, tears of fear, if we're crying, it's tears of remembrance and joy and gratitude. Because we are now live in this moment, cherishing who and what that person, that place, that thing, that job, that experience has become for us now. What that has become is a today reference point. We use it every day without thinking. Every day. Because it's part of our decision making. No longer an active part. No longer a surprise element. I'm going to be late home from work. No longer, I got you these flowers. Oh, thank you, but I'm allergic to those. Oh shit, that's right. Here, let me take this. It's no longer that. It's the memories, the lessons that we learned and we cherish that made us part of who we are now, that we carry with us and use as part of our learning and growing and coping and managing and owning. And the minute we see that pain stops. It's done. And you're going to say, thanks, Mom, but how could you possibly know how I feel? Thanks, Scarlet Viking, Pioneer, Rebel. How could you possibly know how I'm feeling? And the answer is, You don't seriously think I was born this smart, do you? I I have stories, and every one of them became part of my fabric. Every one of them became a lesson. Every one of them became, oh yeah, don't step there. Why not? Looks safe. Okay, step there. Why not? Why shouldn't I step there? Foot raised. Well, here, let's throw a rock in there and see what happens. Snap, snarl, blah, 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 blah. Oh, how did you know that? Oh, I stepped there. That's why I walk funny. So, who I am and what I represent for us, for all of us, for you who are watching, or not for you, you're fine. You don't need me. But oh boy, do you have a brother, sister, cousin, mother, aunt, uncle, neighbor who does. I know why what we try fails. I know that we have to be ready on every level on our own without the contagious viral effect of someone else's enthusiasm. I know that we need the instructions. I know that we can't feel confident in moving forward if we're standing on uncertain ground, if we have no idea how long we have. I used to do stand-up comedy until I realized that it's a place you go to get rejection. And then I said, no. I went a few times, did it a few times and said, why is everybody yelling at me? Don't they like me? Oh yeah, yeah. But it's like they come to throw stuff at you. That's their reason for coming. It's, so I stopped. But when I did stand-up comedy, I used to say, you can always spot a military kid. There's two ways you can recognize them. One is they have no concept of the difference between forever and 4:30. They cannot see the difference. And the other is they have no idea where their current house is. Not really. And if they're driving on autopilot because they're thinking about something else, they can drive past that house. We have turned on a corner because it was the third corner past the church and pulled up in front of the seventh driveway. And it's not our house because the third corner past the church and the seventh driveway was 3 postings ago. We don't live there anymore. It's in a different country. And we sit there thinking, um, say to the subconscious brain, thanks. Subconscious brain, what? What? All of the lessons that I have learned, I've learned in public. There's there's been long before phones where people had a camera and they could take pictures and say, see, this was you. Long before that, everything humiliating happened to me in public. And so I stopped being embarrassed because what's the point? Somebody's going to mention it. I might as well just work with it. And it became a lot of the foundation for what I do and why I'm able to step in the midst of most people saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe." So that's why I'm fearless. The reason I want to help, the reason I can help, the reason I know some of you need help is because of the path I've walked. The reason I know not all of you will accept the help, even though you need it, is because you're not ready. And I'm going to tell you, just as a last thing in the video today, that we ourselves actually hold the key to the pain going away, the pain of uncertainty, the pain of I don't know if I'm safe. We hold the key to that. And I'll tell you what the key is. We go on and on doing the thing that isn't really working, that doesn't really fit, that doesn't taste all that great, that doesn't fill us with hell yeah, because it's not that bad. We tell ourselves, well, it's, I'm fine with it. Really, it's not that bad. That's us giving pain permission to stay. Pain, discomfort, uncertainty, exhaustion, disappointment, rejection. That's us saying, I can handle the pain. It's not that bad. And then this crazy thing happens, and it happens to all of us. It's happened to you. I know it has. And the minute I say it, you'll say, oh, oh yeah, oh yeah. Something all by itself shifts in there somewhere. Something. Sometimes you can almost hear it. You can almost feel it go click. Other times it's just all of a sudden you realize it's already happened and you can't really put your finger on when. And here's the thing that happens to all of us and always will. Everything is not that bad. Everything is I'm fine, I'm okay with it. And all of a sudden, it isn't. All of a sudden, the bucket is full. All of a sudden, the tolerance has passed. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the little voice in our head says, not good enough. I've heard it. I've felt it. I've lived it. So have you. And that is the clue. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, humans of all shapes and sizes. The minute you feel, check please, nope, you are ready. You are ready for the next better thing. You are ready to shift. Change is only hard when we didn't think of it. When we think of it, it's fabulous. So Pivotry in Motion, this is the name of the project. A pivot is physical. Pivotry is the mindset shift. When we do that, when we have that, I don't think so. We have to go from how we were behaving to another part of us that is ready. No more hesitation. No more foot dancing on the dock. We're in the boat. The attitude we have, the mood we have, the purpose we have, the intention we have, the focus we have, the way we speak, the way we carry ourselves, the way we breathe, how hungry we are, how good food tastes, how amazing the bed feels when we fall into it at night. That's a different us. That is us choosing, watching our inner diamond spin, seeing that poor tired facet go out of the light and seeing this one, no, this one, no, this one, no. Yeah, that's who I am right now. That's how I feel right now. That's the me I need right now in this moment. And it doesn't take this time that I'm telling it to you. It happens in an instant. And the reason that people are uncertain and insecure and frightened and confused and exhausted is that we don't know that we do this, that we're capable of this, that there is nothing about us that doesn't qualify. We are this. That's what this is. All the facets that we can choose to be the best version of us in the moment, to own the moment. to say, I'm walking here. How you doing? In our own way. There's lots of people who aren't, you know, a Joey Traudiano. There's a lot of people who aren't Ratzo. They're just quiet. They like to collect stamps. It doesn't matter what we are and how we are, whether we're introvert or extrovert, tall or short, doesn't matter. What matters is that we are, and there are many facets of us, and the best one presents itself when we're ready. We have to know how we do that to feel confident that we do it. And I'm going to show you because I learned it. And then the reason I know it, the reason it's there in front of me and it's tangible for me is that I got into show business. And you know what they do in show business? Here's what they do. The phone rings. Hello. And they say, you know that thing you do when you wear the blue dress and the yellow apron? Yes. Okay, we'd like to pay you a great deal of money to do that again. Absolutely. Do you still have the apron and the dress? Yes. You'll do it? Yes. Okay. But it's more than the apron and the dress. That's just what it looks like. What they're really asking me to do is go and get that quality, go and get that person, go and get that attitude and that mannerism and that tone of it. Well, that's nice, dear. They're asking me to go get her. Well, I don't know, dear. Do you realize that Mom said I don't know, dear, a lot, and she never got slimed for it? Just saying. So the reason I invited all of you here, you wonder why I've called this meeting. The reason I've invited all of you here is because we are gearing up. We are gearing up for the launch of this. This has been a lot in preparation for about 3 years now. Big pause in COVID and a huge pause last year because of the loss of my dear sweet friend. And all of the work that had to be done. I had to put all of the creative stuff over here in a safe space, while I dealt with what was needed. And I went through my pain and my recovery so that I could face the front and smile and wear stuff and invite you into my bright room with my show souvenirs and my hats and my shoes and all the bric-a-brac. Because I'm ready now to continue what I started. I do it for me and I do it for you. And all that you have to do is be ready on your terms. And then you'll get in the boat. And I will say to you, would you prefer a window or an aisle seat? Here's your oar. Shall we carry on? And it's amazing. It really is. The clients that I have who say, I totally changed everything. Oh my God, changed everything. And I want you part of that with me. So I've been talking a long time. I wonder how that happened. The weekend is upon us. We have one more week. It's now the first day, the first official full day of the Aries season. And I'm going to try to be marginally less annoying about it. I do tend to introduce it into the conversation. It's going to be a great weekend if we can figure out how to manage the things that are, like spring cleaning and errands we've been meaning to run and things like that. It's going to be whatever it is we choose to do has the possibility of being a story worth sharing, good, bad, or ugly. And I hope to hear those stories someday from you, with you. So in the meantime, the drill for the new people, drill is this. At the end of every video, I say 2 things, your homework, 2 things. Be good to you. You deserve it. And remember to hug your loved ones because they deserve that too. Thank you so much for watching. We're at 322 people on the YouTube channel now. So We have a few weeks. It would be wonderful to get to 350 by my birthday, which is the 16th of April. Not that I'm throwing in a pitch at the end of the video or anything. So live long, prosper, mind the potholes, and I will see you next week right here. Thank you so much.